Setting up a Dropbox on D2L is super easy. All you gotta do is go to your class, click on your Dropbox, and what you'll want to do is you'll want to just click on a new folder, and if you don't have anything down here, you just name it. So for instance, you could call this thing essay submission, and if you wanted to do a little description, say upload your essay here in a PDF or .docx format. And then if you wanted to add an attachment, you could add, for instance, like a PDF that might describe the different requirements for it. Down here, as far as submission type, you can leave all this the way it is. And under category, you can choose the various categories that you put this in. If you don't have any categories, you just click New Category, and you just call this, History of the Vietnam War, or whatever it is you're talking about. And then just, save that as a thing. And then, you can put a little score out here. Like, say, for instance, you'll score it out of, 50 points. And if you wanted to have a way of viewing all the grades, everyone's score all at once, you could make a little grade item and just call it Essay 1 and press Save. And then over here, for what they would see, they would see that as their percentage. And then as far as rubric goes, if you wanted to create a rubric to add there, you could, but I'm not really sure if you have a rubric in mind. But making a rubric is pretty simple. All you have to do is just click on Make a New Rubric and just make sure it's published. For instance, we'll call this Essay, and then just say, how well did we write our essay? And let's make sure I'm getting audio here. And so then once you're done with that, you can choose the number of criteria. The levels is basically like this is the score, 1 to 4, right? And then the number of criteria is essentially, the various things you put in there. So I could maybe put like 5 criteria, and then you want to make sure you set that, you have that in mind before you press save. As soon as you press save, or as soon as you go over here to your levels and criteria, it's going to, lock that in, and it's going to be kind of hard to change that. So just press save, or and then you'll go to your levels and criteria here, and you'll just say various criteria. For instance, you could call this, spelling errors, and just say no mistakes, 1 mistake, 2 mistakes, etc., right? And save that, and then where they would see this sort of spelled out like so. And you can change all the different criteria to various things, like say, for instance, grammar errors, citations, requirements, format, whatever you want to say which is. As soon as you have all that saved, you can close it out. Just make sure it says it's published, and then you can save that. And then when you go back to your Dropbox, you click Add Rubric. You can find that rubric you just made here. For instance, I'll find my little essay rubric, and I'll just add that selected there. And then what you can do is just kind of have all that. And once you save it, it'll show up in your Dropbox folder menu, right? And you just gotta find it wherever you found it. So for instance, it always goes whatever you put in there first will be at the top, whatever you put in there last will be at the bottom. So this is where my essay submission thing is. I'll just make sure that's make visible to users. And then once that's visible, if they go to I go to view as a student, what they'll see is under their Dropbox, they'll see down here, it'll look like this. They'll see this other stuff right here, and they'll find their little essay Dropbox here, and they'll just click on their essay submission. And what they'll do is they'll have to find, for instance, if they made this in a Google Doc, right? If they made this in a Google Doc, what they can do is just go File, Download As, maybe a PDF or a docx file, and then what they'll say is, just save it, and anytime. All right, and they'll name it something like Vietnam War essay, and I'll just put this in my desktop here just so I can find it later. And what they would do is they would then just add a file, and all they would have to do is just click on my computer, and they could just drag and drop this in like so. Oops. So give that a moment to load up, right? And then they add it and submit it. And as soon as they submitted it, you could press done. Now, when you view it later, when you view it as a teacher, what you would see under Dropbox is you would see that you have one submission, under your essay. Now, obviously, in this case, I didn't, it doesn't really count me, I don't think, because I'm me. But you would see whatever submissions that you have down here. So let me see if I can use this student interaction. Yeah, but the whole idea is that like you would see them all there, and you could download them one by one, or you could download them as a zip file, just downloading them all at once, and then you could just grade them bit by bit according to the rubric, or you can just print them off if you wanted to. But yeah, it's a real easy way of getting all this stuff at once, and especially if you have the grade set, you can just click on a little icon and it'll show all the grades. I can kind of show you here. For instance, I graded this this assignment here. Let me see if I can go back to teacher here. So if I were to go over here to my Dropbox and view, for instance, this little line art thing we did in class, I just click on one of my students here that did this thing, and I could just like click on my line 1, and it would show me everyone's grades as they completed them, right? And show them out of 10 and stuff. I could just kind of view these, and I can put these in Infinite Campus, just in the order, because they go in alphabetical order here. All right, so it's real simple. Just obviously, kind of have an idea what you want to put in there in mind beforehand, and yeah, real simple, right? Very cool.